do.
Okay, go for it, Miss Vicky.
I just wanted to share that my son-in-law got the news yesterday that Monday he will have a ceremony. He's being promoted to sergeant on LMPD.
Yay! Oh, that's awesome. I'm sorry, I had
He
to
has
unmute.
worked so hard for this and tested, and so we're so proud of him.
That is awesome because there's lots of people going for that spot. Sorry.
Vicky, you want to bring you some Kleenex?
I'm good today.
That's our girl. Who else has something wonderful they want to share?
I finally found a little house for this gentleman that is living in deplorable conditions, and we finally found him another place to live, and we should be closing soon. So it's a little place that he's buying to fix up, but it's still better than what he's living in. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, Marcia. One thing I know about Marcia Duncan is that this woman never, ever gives up on her clients, ever. So congratulations to you and to your client.
Thank you.
Good, good. Couple more good things and then we're moving on.
I'll share something good.
Go for it, Miss Laura.
After my car died and the transmission went out in the middle of the mountains in North Carolina, I now have a 2017 Kia Sorento that I just purchased on Sunday. And it's beautiful and I love it.
Yeah, we all went out and looked at it the other day, and that is one beautiful car. So congratulations, Miss Laura.
Thanks.
So it's been Keller Williams approved.
It is Keller Williams approved. Designed for superstars. Couple more good things and we're moving on.
I got something.
Two more.
I got one.
Okay.
I happy to announce I got my first couple of listing contracts, and I'm excited to get going on those.
How so proud of you. How long? Tell everybody. This will be a moment of inspiration for many. Howie, how long have you been licensed at Keller Williams or been licensed?
Yeah, I missed part of that. Do you say how long have I had my license?
Yes. How long have you been with us?
Yes, it's a little over a month now. So yeah, excited about that.
Oh, when I come in the office and around the corner to go to my office, I can look to the left and there sits Howie, and he is working and working. So it's paying off, Howie. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
I have something.
Okay.
I just want everybody to know that my 7-year-old got her ears pierced, and it was a very big deal, okay? And she looks beautiful.
Who cried the most? Who cried the most, the daughter or the mama?
I mean, I might have shed a little bit of, maybe a little tear too. She did good though. They did one and she was very upset, but then I said, you're not leaving here with one ear pierced, so let's go. So then she went and got the other one pierced and they look great.
Congratulations. 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 All right. Amy, let's move to the next slide.
All right.
Just a reminder that next weekend is Labor Day and the office will be closed on Monday. And because it's a short week, we will not be having a team meeting on Wednesday. So just a reminder. By the way, if anybody is in the building today, I am broadcasting, that's a big word in it, from our town center. So you're welcome to come out here and enjoy and work with me and be that crowd. I feel like I'm at a baseball team, like there was the who was it? It was the White Sox. The guy pitched a no-hitter and the crowd did not roar. So if you're in the building and you would like to come roar with me, join me in the town center. So just a reminder, we will not have a team meeting. We have some birthdays tomorrow. Mr. Brad Long, B-Rad, our principal broker, is having his birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Brad Long. And then on the 29th, we got Lee Hensley and Kevin Clark. And then on September the 4th, our Lisa George. The 6th, we have Millie Thomas. 7th, oh, look at that lady, Miss Amy Leo turns 29 on the 7th. Congratulations, Miss Amy Leo.
Thank you.
On the 8th, Jess Yu. Jess, I know you're on the call. Happy birthday to you.
These people in their 20s.
Yeah. Hey, Laura Webb, you're on the call. Would you like to hop on and share with us about, I'm putting you on the spot here, share with us these wonderful people that have joined our company recently.
Absolutely. So Darnell Lockett is one of our newest members, and Belicia Sullivan is his sponsor. Claire Bridges, both Darnell and Claire are newly licensed. Claire just passed her exam and has joined us. Her husband, Jeff Bridges, his email address is actually the other Jeff Bridges. So Claire's husband, the other Jeff Bridges, they are going to be a husband and wife team here in our office. And then Chance Lanham, also newly licensed. His license was activated, and I am the proud person to sponsor him.
Well, he's got a great sponsor there, as do the other two. So welcome. If you're, when you in the office, come introduce yourself. We look forward to meeting you.
You know, I know Brad will not be on here, and I've not heard back from Harry. Oh, I see Harry Borders. There he is. Hi, Harry. You are here. Yay.
Harry Borders.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Harry.
Hey,
How's
Harry.
everybody?
So share us
Hey, Marcia.
some wisdom with us, Mr. Legal Eagle.
So you have a listing. It gets under contract. Buyer does an inspection. Buyer sends over a release of contract. What do you do? Any takers?
Cry?
Yes. First of all, you have already explained to your seller, because you absolutely have got to always explain to your seller. Paragraph 10B2 is a free look-see and a free escape. If your buyer does an inspection and they want out, we are going to let them out. So step number one is we will sign a release. Now that contract is done. Next, I'm going to have a conversation with my seller, and my conversation with my seller will say, so I don't know why they wanted out, but as we discussed when we were going through the contract, they had the right to get out, so now they're out. They have not indicated to me what the issue was. Would you like for me to inquire, without asking all the details, would you like for me to inquire with the buyer's agent whether there were any major issues that we would expect that the next inspector will also pick up? Because if there are, and if you're financially capable of going on and making those changes, we might want to go ahead and preemptively figure it out, fix the items, update our seller disclosure to indicate that these items have been taken care of. So now we have a sales feature instead of a downside. We will not ever have that conversation with the selling agent until and unless the seller tells us it's okay. But if the seller tells us it's okay, if I am your seller, I will want you to find out what the issues were, because I don't want to run into the same issue that I had with the first buyer. I want to know what it is, and I want to fix it so I don't run into a disaster again. Questions, comments, thoughts, concerns?
Sounds good to me.
What he said.
I know that I have the conversation up front as many times as I can, and probably close to almost 100%, really, exactly that, to where if you have that uncomfortable conversation with the seller in the beginning, it really makes it a whole lot easier when you run into this situation. Just don't be afraid to do it, and just do it. And it's a practice I got into several years ago, and it has made life so much easier when you run into that situation. Trying to avoid it and not having that conversation when you do your listing presentation you're just asking for a big headache and potentially losing the listing because they weren't informed enough in the beginning.
Everything in life is about having expectations in line with reality. If the expectation when the seller gets an accepted contract is that this buyer is going to buy, that expectation frequently will not be met. That's why Harry does what he does, is to make sure that the expectation is in line with reality, because reality is this is the single biggest area that buyers are going to walk. And we've got to be upfront and inform our sellers that that is a legitimate concern. No happy dance until we're through the inspections.
Or at the closing.
Yeah, no kidding.
After the closing, once you've gotten the checks and you've left the building.
Exactly.
Harry, I've got one for you. I've got a seller that I got an offer on it. She countered, the buyer accepted, but then at the time she decided she didn't want to sell. It's been about a week now and I'm steadily getting calls about this house. My first thought is because it's her mom's house and she's still having emotional ties to it, just to release her from the listing agreement. Because she's not quite there yet, even though I had a ready, willing, and able cash buyer.
So let me ask, I'm going to answer your question by asking you a question. Did you feel uncomfortable when a good offer comes in that your seller is not willing to accept?
I thought
absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, I knew I thought she was going to accept it, because when he came in with a lower offer and she countered it and he accepted it, I'm thinking we're done. But then I could not get her to sign anything.
So I'll go back to what I said earlier after Harry's comment. Everything is about making sure expectations are in line with reality. And if a buyer's expectation is, if I make Marcia's client a good, strong offer, Marcia's client will accept it. If that's not what is going to happen, then Marcia looks bad because Marcia's seller got an offer that Marcia's seller didn't accept. Long answer to your question, Marcia, I wouldn't be interested in taking that listing any further if I can't get some comfort that my seller is in fact going to accept an offer when an offer is a good, strong offer. So I agree with you.
Okay.
Anything else from anybody?
Nope, just wanted Harry's blessing.
You got it. And by the way, Harry out there, I see your smiling face. What were you? Why were you making fun of us people that are in our 20s still?
Actually,
good one.
Listen, I wasn't making fun. I was just like, all these people that are below 30, I'm like, there's too many of them. They need to get old like me.
Yeah.
Amy, Leo. So when Harry Borders starts into his fantasy world, that's when we go ahead and mute him. Okay.
I got it.
We love you, Harry.
I love you guys too. Have a great day.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the 20s.
Woo.
All right.
Woohoo, the other Harry.
Speaking of Harry Borders, Harry Clegg, the other Harry. Let's go for it, Mr. Harry.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, good to see everybody again. And I hope everybody's doing well, the best they can anyway. If you know, I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I touch on two things, emotional wellness and physical wellness. And today I'll start with the physical wellness because we are dealing with the COVID. And some of the things I think that are pretty universal that are coming across, whether it's social media or whether it's research or whatever, that there's a couple of things that you can do to combat, if not thwart, or maybe just put yourself in a better position in case you do come in contact with COVID-19. And one of the main things that's been consistent is zinc. So I think that across the board, is taking zinc supplements and eating food with zinc in it. Zinc is one of the things that seems to be universal. That hey, this thing, it does a little happy dance, as you say, to the COVID when it comes in there, because it likes to beat up the COVID. So if you can get on a regimen of taking daily zinc supplements, or however what's best for you, I've got a list of foods: lamb, pumpkin seeds, grass-fed beef, chickpeas, cashews, spinach, chicken, oysters, seafood such as crab and lobster, which warms my heart. Oatmeal and eggs. So just look and see, just start pummeling yourself with as much zinc as possible, because this thing's not going away anytime soon. And you might as well have your body as strong as possible. Two other things are vitamin D and vitamin C. I like to get outside and get my vitamin D. I also take vitamin D supplements and vitamin C. My mom's a retired nurse, registered nurse, and she and my father both are big on the vitamin C and vitamin D supplements. Last thing on the vitamins as well, elderberry. The whole thing is about your immune system. So your immune system may or may not need help. So if it needs help and you don't know it, you might as well give it some fuel to fight what may come your way. So hopefully that'll help. So zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C, and elderberry.
That elderberry wine.
Yeah, elderberry wine. I tell you what, I have that every night.
And so that's what we do.
I actually have some on my desk. I got elderberry, vitamin C, and zinc. I take this every day. And you can't really overdose on zinc and vitamin D and vitamin C. Just do it. I just had 2 Tangelos and vitamin C. It doesn't matter. Whatever your body doesn't use, it'll get rid of it. So anyway, so those things that I would definitely take seriously as far as upping my immune system strength. The last thing would be the mental wellness part. I consider myself a pretty strong, mentally capable person of doing things and fighting through things. And I can tell you this is tough. It's tough. And I'm at the age where I really don't like everybody out there. Sometimes I just want to just sit with my dog. But I miss people. I miss going to a Bats game and having a hot dog and a cold beer. I miss going to Nulu, to an arts festival or something. You just miss doing things. And I'm not going to elaborate on things that we already know. But don't take it lightly that this is something that everybody's just casually skating through. This is a very tough emotional time. I have to pick myself up, if not every day, every other day, because of the travel restrictions of going out. I don't want to catch COVID. I think I would be fine, but I don't want to give it to my parents who are in their 70s and blah, blah, blah. We all have the same thing. So do something for yourself on a consistent basis. Even if it's just one thing a day or two. Could be organizing a closet. It could be painting a wall, something. Just do something that makes you feel good on a daily basis, away from the social media and the things entangled. I definitely am one that participates in social media. And I find myself much better when I shut it down and I go in my garage or go paint the back things that I painted yesterday outside. So I wind it up by saying, take care of yourself physically with the things I mentioned. Once again, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C, elderberry. And at the same time, don't beat yourself up. This is a very tough time emotionally, but keep yourself moving forward and do like eating an elephant. You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So do small accomplishments to make yourself feel good till we get through this. We will get through this, and this will all be history one day. And so in the meantime, just take care of yourself mentally as well.
Hey, Harry.
Hey.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Hey, it's Shelly. I have a quick question. This supplement that you held up that's there on your desk with the elderberry, and where did you get that?
I just went online. It's through Amazon, and it may be it may be half powerful or whatever, but I just went on the Amazon. I try not to go out as much as if I don't have to, and I'm a big Amazon guy, like most of us have become. So this was Viva Naturals elderberries. It's all in one, and I still supplement it with a vitamin D tablet and my natural oranges and tangerines and my seafood. because I'm an East Coast guy, so I do eat a lot of seafood in general. But just Amazon is where I got it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? And can I help anybody else? Might want to talk about cars or anything?
Maybe in your garage.
We're going to broadcast from your garage one of these days, very, very soon, Harry.
We'll be glad to do it.
I'm waiting for the weather to chill. So thank you, Harry. We love you.
Love you guys. Miss you.
All right, I'm gonna just breeze through these. Don't forget that on your intranet calendar, my emails, my posts, you've got some phenomenal training. We're wrapping up with Debbie Frapp this afternoon at 3. And then also on September 9th, we've got our flu shots coming, and you will hear more about that from me and from Alyssa Withrow soon. So just mark your calendar for September 9th. And then, of course, we've got Pivot Shift Ahead, some great training every day at 1 and 4, and then every day at 1 with Scott Leroy, you're going to learn tech. So today at 12, so right after the meeting, we also have some DocuSign training. Shannon Dager has posted that on the closed Facebook group, the Ohio Valley Market Tech Mastermind. So this is all about DocuSign tips and tricks and shortcuts. So get on there and join in. And speaking of tech, we've got the amazing Lisa Warfield on here. She's going to do her 60-second video with you. And Lisa, you out there? Can't hear you if you're muted.
Here I am.
There you are. Let me see if I can get your video pulled up. All right.
Okay, so everybody knows that your database is your data bank. If you've taken the last couple of bowls, one of the more important things about your database in Command is the tagging. So custom tags are a thing. A Command already comes with some system tags. You can see that on this page here. So there are a few things that are already done for you, but in order to drill down on the people you want to call and you want to touch and you want to love on, managing your data bank is going to be an awesome thing where you can do it through tags, and you can search and filter your tags daily in order to give yourself a things to do list and to make sure that we're, working smart and not hard. So what you're seeing are me actually creating a tag in Command settings. You can also do this on the fly if you decide to change direction in your business and you, come across an investor pool or something out in our wonderful world of real estate. So this is how you're going to make sure, what did I name that? My tag for my data bank. So this is Command. And if you take a look, it's showing me how many contacts are set up on each tag. These tags will now convert over to opportunities. I just sent Amy an email, some things that are coming in Mega Camp as far as client updates and these tags. So stay tuned. Going to bring you something next week. It's going to blow your mind. Whew. All right, everybody.
Thank you, Lisa. We appreciate you. All right. So let's get back to career night. Laura, you still on there?
I'm here.
Yay!
Super excited for career night tomorrow night. Amy and I will be hosting it tomorrow night. That's Thursday, August 27th at 6 p.m. So share with me via email, or you can text me the name and email address of the folks that you're inviting, and I'll be sure to call and introduce myself, invite them personally to career night as well, and to forward the Zoom link so that they can join us tomorrow night at 6. You guys have already done a great job at spreading the word. I've already got 8 people on my radar who are joining us tomorrow night. So keep on reaching out to those folks you want to be in business with in the future, and Amy and I will take great care of them tomorrow night.
All right, good work, Laura. Thank you. And then one more reminder, we're gonna keep telling you about it. Make sure you're signing up for Mega Camp. It's gonna be amazing this year. If you have any questions about that, reach out to me. And then Linda.
All righty, let's get started with our guest that we have with us today. And I think you guys are in the process of getting his screen shared. And so while you're doing that, let me tell you a little bit about this young man. This is Mark Nickel. He is President and Chief Investment Officer at Hilliard Trust Company. And he has over 20 years experience in investment industry. He is a certified financial planner and hosts a Chartered Wealth Advisor designation. Mark previously was the Chief Investment Officer for Hilliard Lyons. And Mark has got his BS in finance from University of Louisville and his MBA from Smuffet University in Dublin, Ireland, of all places. I've had the pleasure of knowing Mark for quite a while. He just so happens to be, and are you ready for this drum roll, the father of 2 of our grandchildren. So we love having him and his family, his grandchildren in our world, that's for sure. So Mark, I'm turning it over to you, young man.
All right, Linda, thank you for that intro. And yes, it's been a blessing to have to be part of your family. So everybody, I am industry since '98. Besides running our business, really for the last 14, 15 years, my job has been understanding what's going on in the economy and in the markets, and then explaining to our clients and relating that to our clients, and then constructing the right portfolios for our clients. Today, my goal is to give you a bit of a view of what we think is happening in the economy and the markets, and then relating that a bit back to the residential real estate market, and then trying to bring it a little bit more home to Kentucky and Louisville. I will say though, I'm no real expert. I go to Linda or I go to other people who know that market a lot better than I do. But I did try and what would be interesting from my perspective in regards to what's going on in the COVID-19 world and with real estate. So let's go ahead and get kicked off. One of the things in my world that I've kind of lived by is what are the 4 most dangerous words in investing? And famously, it's different this time. So I found this Peanuts cartoon that made some sense. We all know Lucy would tell Chuck, hey, go ahead, kick the football. It's going to be different this time, but was it ever different? No. She always pulled the football back. And when it comes to economic cycles and with market cycles, it's common. It can be common to say, well, it's different this time, but typically it's not. It always, there's a saying from Mark Twain, history doesn't repeat, it often rhymes. So there tends to be a similarity with market cycles that kind of goes forward year after year after year. However, 2020, COVID-19, there are some things that we could point to say maybe different this time. We'll see in hindsight, but that does kind of tee up comments for today. So let me just into some of the data. So one of the things that maybe the biggest thing clearly that's been going on this year has been the impact of the COVID virus. We know that in March and April, we began to see a real spike in the number of cases in the US and also globally. The blue line on this chart is the United States. We know we shut down the economy in the second quarter, and that did have some positive impact to slowing the rate of the virus increasing. But then we saw states open back up in May and June, and guess what? We saw a tremendous spike in confirmed cases. But then we started to see some more restrictions, more mask wearing, more conscientious social distancing, and we've begun to see the daily confirmed cases go down. Why am I talking about this? Well, not only about our own health, but concerned if we can't get the virus controlled, doing what we're doing, are we going to see the economies in the United States shut down again? And we'll go over what was the impact of shutting down our economies earlier on. So this is clearly something that we're watching very closely. The other thing that we're watching closely is the number of fatalities. So we know the case numbers have been going up and then been coming down some, but how are we doing on fatalities? Here we're looking only at the US, And we know in March and April, we really saw the fatality rate spike. Then we have seen it come down. Now, interestingly, we know that cases have been really moving higher over the last couple of months, but deaths, fatalities have moved higher, not near to that degree. So it does seem like we are figuring out to live with the virus, and we're also in some ways figuring out how to treat the virus. If fatalities really move higher, I do think we would be in jeopardy of this year shutting down the economy again. We'll see. A lot can happen, but we are certainly watching this with interest. So, and I'm going to skip this chart to go to the next one. It can still make the same point. So one of the things, though, that in the second quarter, by shutting down the economy, we know that GDP, so gross domestic product in the US, fell by 32% year over year. It's the biggest fall and decrease in GDP that we've ever seen. It's one of those things when we talk about it's different this time. Well, we've never seen GDP fall like that before. That is different this time. What this chart is showing is that since World War II, it's tracking every single economic cycle since World War II. The blue line is the current cycle that we live in, that we're experiencing. We've never seen a fall in economic growth like we've seen before, and this chart really illustrates that. 32%. Now we're going to see a big recovery in the third quarter. Not going to snap back to where we were pre-COVID. The other thing I would point out is this yellow line right here is the cycle that we just completed. So it was the longest economic expansion on record. However, it was the slowest growing economic expansion on record. And if I would argue the reason we've seen populism increase, this have and have not, we've seen a lot of tension around the country. I would argue a lot of that is because we did not grow as fast as we have previously, and there were people who were left behind. And we're experiencing the impact of that even today. But economic growth fell off a cliff. We don't want to see that happen again. Unemployment. So we know, and you can see earlier, unemployment rate was 3.5%. COVID hit, down, and we saw initial jobless claims go through the roof. I mean, it's like, it's not even on as far as a standard deviation from the norm. It's off. Now we've seen initial jobless claims come down, the same thing as we've seen current unemployment rate come down, but we're still at 10.2% unemployment. That's compared to 3.5% pre-COVID. It's gotten better. It is still not, it's actually historically terrible. We'll see though if we continue to see an improvement there. Interestingly, I put this chart just because I'm thinking about your prospective clients or your current from Keller Williams. Here is the unemployment rate by educational attainment. Basically, it's kind of hard to see here, but basically what the chart is saying is that the more education you have, the better chance you have of being employed. So for those with college degrees, the unemployment rate is somewhere around 6%. For those that don't have a high school, it's up over 15. So just thinking about your prospective clientele, that may resonate some. It certainly does show the value of an education. Now I'm digging here a little bit deeper into unemployment, looking at Kentucky and Louisville. So if you can see February, March, April, employment rate in Kentucky in February was 4.2%. It started to increase in March, and then it spiked all the way to 16.6% in April. Now it's come down in May, June, and July, and I would actually say the June numbers look they look too good. They look too low. I'm guessing they're going to be revised. But it does a sense of here in Kentucky where we were, and then it's gotten better. Same thing in Louisville. In Louisville in February, the unemployment rate was 3.5%. It spiked to up over 16% in April, and it's come down considerably And again, I would say a lot of these numbers are likely to be revised. This is a fascinating chart, if you ask me, real personal income. So the gray bar on this chart is the recession. In a typical recession, you would think that people's incomes would actually fall. If you look at the blue line, real personal income spiked once the recession hit. Well, why was that? Well, it was due to stimulus and an increase in unemployment benefits. Real personal income, excluding employment and excluding the stimulus, it fell considerably. When you think about this from my client's perspective, your client's perspective, we're all good as long as government stimulus and unemployment benefits where they are. What happens when that stops? Or what happens when that reduces? This is one of those things. Is it different this time when we see incomes actually increase? Here is an example of a bit of a V-shaped recovery, but it also is an example of how unusual this cycle has been. So this is looking at retail sales, food services. Basically, year over year, retail sales and food services fell by over 20% in the second quarter. They've recovered quite a bit, but we know this is a challenging area, especially with all the restrictions in bars and restaurants. But I want to go to the consumer. So one of the things that we talk about a lot with our clients and remind them is that in the United States, the consumer, so everybody on this call, we make up collectively 70% of economic growth in the US. So when the consumer gets a cold, it is not good for the overall economy. Now we know incomes, like I just showed slides before, have gone up. However, consumer confidence has really been dinged, understandably so. The question is, are we going to see a recovery in confidence? Now, something that I read yesterday, actually, that really resonated with me because of the group I'm presenting to right now, is that it does take confidence to buy a house. So think about that and think about what you're experiencing. And then some of the slides I'm going to show here in a bit. So in areas of the economy, people have enough confidence to buy a house. In other areas of the economy, people are really pulling back. But just if you're to remember anything, 70% of the US economy is driven by the consumer. Now here's another chart, and it's really, it's probably too small for you to see, but it resonated with me, and it maybe will resonate with you to think about your clientele. That as of July, high income earners have actually reduced their spending more, and they had reduced their spending by 9%. They've reduced it more than what low income earners have. So you make a lot of money, you're doing well, but you're more likely to pull back on your spending. Low income haven't reduced their spending by as much. So that's interesting. I would probably argue that high income earners have more disposable income, disposable spending, hence they're able to pull back more. But just thinking about that and thinking about the type of clients you're likely to work with. Now, Harry mentioned Amazon and loving Amazon. This is another just mind-boggling chart. The second quarter of 2020, there was a 4.3% increase in the amount of e-commerce sales as a total of all sales. We saw more of an increase in one quarter of e-commerce growth than we'd seen in the previous 18 quarters. So think about that. Think about in one quarter, we saw as much growth as we've seen over the last 18 quarters, or actually 4.5 years. So COVID-19 has been good for certain areas of the economy. E-commerce has been one of the beneficiaries. All right, I wanted to take 2 slides to think about interest rates, because I'm guessing that interest rates in your world matter, mortgage rates matter. Things. One, interest rates and the Fed funds. So when we hear that the Federal Reserve is, this is the rate that they've cut. They've cut the Fed funds rate. You can see that right now we're essentially at bound. They've cut them to 0. How long will we be at 0% interest rate? The very short end. And I know this isn't mortgage rates, but this does have an impact. The Fed actually, as of this morning, per Bloomberg, they're expecting that interest is going to be here at the 0 bound for at least 5 years. If you look at the playbook of the Great Financial Crisis, so that's this section right here, they kept interest rates at 0 for a 5-6 year period. There's no reason to think that they're going to change the playbook coming out of this. And then looking at the 10-year Treasury bond. So again, this isn't 30-year or 15-year mortgage rates, but it's related. The 30-year, or excuse me, the 10-year Treasuries are at 0.68%. This chart goes back to the 50s. We haven't seen interest rates this low, at least since World War II. When I started my job as a portfolio manager in 2006, I was right around here, we were seeing rates were historically low, and they were likely to go up. Well, we were wrong for 14 straight years, because interest rates have continued to go lower and lower and lower. They will go up at some point. We just don't know how likely that will be anytime soon. If you were to ask me, it feels like we're going to be in a low interest rate regime for quite a while. All right, so now to residential real estate charts that I thought resonated from my perspective. This might all be old news to everybody on this call, but it's relatively new news to me. So housing starts, we can see right before COVID, actually we're at really cycle highs. They fell, but then we've seen housing starts grow by 22.6% in July. That's a positive for residential real estate. Here is housing units authorized by permit. So how many starts in the South? So housing starts just in the South. The previous slide was looking throughout the US. In the South, they actually are where they were pre-COVID. Traffic of prospective buyers. Best we've seen, at least going back since 2000. Pending home sale, year over year, best we've seen since 2015. Existing family home sales here in the US, they surged by 24.7% month over month in July. And then here are new single family houses sold in the US. Again, cycle highs. And I would just say, or as a reminder, housing and housing related services make up about 15% of our GDP. So it matters. It absolutely matters. And then I go into home ownership rate for the US. We are yet at an all-time high. The current home ownership rate is 67.9. The high was pre-financial crisis in 2004 at 69.2. But if we continue on the trend that we're on, I wouldn't be surprised if we exceed that. And we know that record low mortgage rates, the work from home trend is all in place, and it continues to be in place for the foreseeable future. So I think about residential real estate, when I think about it, whether Kentucky or national, it certainly does seem like you've got some tailwinds at our back. I finished with some questions, though, that just made me think about what will be the long-term impact. Can this continue? And what would maybe be some things to keep our eyes open for to see the trend change? Because I am an investment guy, I want to do a couple of investment slides really quickly, just because it matters. I think it matters, and it goes to some things are going great in the market, some things are not. what's going on. The S&P 500, as of this morning, is at an all-time high. We're up over 55% March 23 lows, and we're up 6% year to date. And it probably, you may think about this yourself, you might be like, how in the world can the stock market be at all-time highs and we just have the worst GDP print ever when we have unemployment at double-digit rates? And I think that is a great question. Also, how can the stock market be at highs, GDP's there, but then also residential real estate is doing gangbusters? Simplistically, we point to things. One, the stock market is anticipating a vaccine in the next 6 to 12 months. This is actually a chart that we put together, a basket of 9 different publicly traded companies that have a vaccine in the works. Since May, those companies have been outperforming the stock market by over 50%. So the stock market is anticipating a vaccine will lead to stronger economic. The stock market sometimes gets it right, sometimes gets it wrong. We'll see how that plays out, but it clearly is part of what is driving stock markets higher. The second thing that is driving stock markets higher is that we have had $4 trillion of monetary and fiscal stimulus hit the economy. So the Fed, Congress learned from the great financial crisis, and within really a matter of months, they hit the pedal as far as stimulus. We've really not seen stimulus like this since World War II, hitting quite quickly and at this amount of sheer impact. $4 trillion equals about 18% of our GDP, and we know that there's another stimulus package on its way. So there's a saying, don't fight the Fed. When the Fed is stimulative, stock assets do well, and that's exactly what we've seen so far. So if you think about why the stock market is where it is, expecting a vaccine, and we've had unprecedented amounts of stimulus. All right, I'm going to go to this slide and then end with my questions for you all, and then I'll be happy to take any questions and try and answer them. Another question that I get all the time is that, is the stock market in a November election outcome? And what I would say is, historically, the market doesn't start pricing in a election outcome until August. So it's really the 3 months between that lead up to the November election is where the stock market starts to price in an outcome. When, and here you can see this light blue line, when stocks from August on are positive going into the election, those 3 months going into the election, the incumbent party wins. It's actually, since 1928, 87% of the time this has been true. From August to November, stocks sell off going into the election. That is bad for the incumbent party, and the opposition wins. 2016, the polls said Hillary would win. The 3 months into that election, stocks sold off, and we know who won. So I would just say here that the market is starting to price in an outcome in November. Right now, for August, stocks are up. We still got a ways to go until November. But that's what history has told us. We'll see how it plays out. And then I would just finish up with just some questions for this group to consider as far as about your business, your clients, things to be mindful of. So one, work from home, will it last? I know our organization is looking at what is the future, and it certainly does seem like we will have less people in the office than we had pre-COVID. Question is, well, clearly there's an impact to residential real estate, but then what's also the impact to commercial real estate? The urban to suburban trend, that's not as relevant in Louisville. Certainly in bigger markets it is, but people moving out of the city centers out to the suburbs. We are seeing that. Maybe you're seeing that already here in Louisville. Will that last? How long will it last? Third, how long will interest rates stay low? It seems like they're going to stay low for quite a while, but you never can quite tell. Will lending standards tighten? So are lenders going to get more cautious? Are they going to be careful about defaults, what have you? Will there be more stimulus and how much? That's a question certainly to be mindful of. And then what happens when stimulus runs out? So those are the questions that I would just leave you with to consider and how they impact your business, your clients. But Linda, I'm to take any questions, and it can be anything I covered, or we can go off the deck as well. Happy to do what I can to address any questions or concerns.
All right, Mark, I appreciate that. So if you have questions, and while you're forming your questions, guys, Mark, I just want to tell you that my phone has been blowing up with text messages from those on the call, commenting how wonderful this information is and how timely it is. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So who has some questions for Mark? I know they're not shy. It's going to come. I think they're still analyzing the charts.
And it was very thorough information.
Larry Gaddy wants to know if we can get the slides. And Mark, would it be all right with you if we get those slides that you just presented?
Amy has them.
Yep.
All right. Oh, Amy has them. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like I could listen to this every day to help me feel like I have some sort of sense of what's going on. Thank you so much for being here. The economy is a very big passion. I loved every minute. Thank you.
Well, Seamus, I was hoping you were on this today because it was speaking your language.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we could just go on and on. I'm sure there's some people, even though this is critical information, like this is the most important thing in our world right now, I'm sure there's some people that just they can't stick with it. Every chart you turned, I was like, another. It doesn't even apply to my business. I just want to see it.
Love it.
This is a data geek.
Yes.
Mark, I've got, it's kind of a, going back to the slide you had about our economy going up prior to election. I got distracted on that one.
This one?
Yeah, that one. Could you share that one more time? I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
I got distracted.
Yeah, so a question that I get all the time is the stock market pricing in out of the election? And what history would tell us is that the stock market doesn't start pricing that in until the 3 months right before the election. So August, September, October. In those 3 months, August, October, when the stock market has been positive, those 3 months going into the election, the incumbent party has won 87% of the time.
Wow.
And the stock market sells off, so it falls in August, September, October. It has been bad for the incumbent party, and they've lost. So in 2016, the polls said Hillary was going to win. The stock market was weak. August, September was negative for those 3 months, and we know Trump won.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, is that pretty much indicative of, I mean, obviously, you could speculate the political motivations, but also just to hold the economy together. But there would be no holdback from this current economy to print off money and do a stimulus to keep that economy up and running and to keep the stocks from selling off. Is that fair? That's a smart move, and it also double-edged sword. It worked.
Yeah, I mean, clearly stimulus is there to help the economy. It's there to to help on markets as well. The market though, like it doesn't always get it right, but there's a lot of wisdom in the market, the collective of the market, and I would just say the market will essentially vote by the way it performs. So if the market is and the market's really kind of pricing in what they expect the outcome to be, that's how I would see it. It's the market is historically, typically looking out 6, 9, 12 months, and it's trying to anticipate what's coming down the road.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions?
What do you think will happen once the stimulus money runs out?
They'll find more stimulus money. I don't mean to be smart, Alecky, but there is no there is no sign of any fiscal conservatism or caution right now. I mean, they are both parties. It may be a little different in regards to how the stimulus is distributed, but there really isn't any rancor about no more stimulus. I mean, they it seems like want to it's no holds barred, and I would say one of my concerns will be what price will we pay down the road for the stimulus that we've put in place this year.
So you think you'll see a massive spike in inflation once things normalize, that we're not feeling it now?
Yeah. So one of the big concerns coming out of the Great Financial was that with, we did a lot of money printing and stimulus then, and historically, well, there was a lot of belief that would lead to inflation. Well, we saw really little, if any, inflation 2010 to 2020. The amount of debt that's in the world today is such that it tends to actually be deflationary, and so that's one of the reasons why I think interest rates will be low for a while. Also, the authorities we can't afford rates to spike, because then the amount of the interest cost on our debt is really going to be detrimental. So I think there's going to be a lot of forces at play to keep interest rates low for a while, quite a while.
Mark, we've got a question in the chat from Larry Gaddy. He's asking, do you see any particular sector of the market that would be beneficial to invest in right now?
Yeah. So I'll take you to this slide. The market right now, the top 5 companies, S&P 500, are Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Alphabet, which is Google, and Amazon. All 5 of those companies would be considered in some way or another technology. They also would all be considered beneficiaries of COVID-19, work from home. It has absolutely rewarded those companies. So those top 5 companies comprise 22% of the S&P 500, which is a number we've not seen before, even bigger on the tech bubble. These numbers are about 3 weeks old, but those 5 companies were up 32.2%, just them alone. The rest of the bottom 495 companies were down 7.7%. So when I say, there's haves and have-nots, or and I'm getting back to Larry's slide or question, yes, I mean, technology, COVID-related companies have beneficiaries. I would probably say, though, that is into the stocks, and I would say, we have a $14 billion trust company. We are finding it pretty hard right now to identify good investment opportunities that aren't fully priced. Financials is one area that look relatively cheap, but they've got lots of obstacles to overcome. But it's tough right now. So I don't mean to punt. I'm just being honest.
Okay, we've got another one from Lisa Warfield. She's seen an uptick in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency solicitations. What are your opinions on those?
Yeah, that is in the realm of a speculative move of an investment play. There's a lot of really smart people that understand Bitcoin and blockchain better than I do, and I get sort of the big picture idea that it may actually replace the U.S. dollar. I don't understand it enough, and everybody should invest in it. And I think that's a good general premise about investing. If somebody doesn't understand how something works, how a business operates, how an asset class, you probably shouldn't go there. And when you see a lot of advertisements, certain investment, that also is a bit of a warning flag as well.
All right. We've got another one, and this is from Mike Fogel. He'd like to know what's the play for when the government raises taxes to pay off the debt. How can you protect your wealth from being taxed?
Yeah, it'll really all depend on, there will be legions of lawyers and accountants looking to see where can folks move money around to take advantage. And I would say right now it's impossible to say until we know exactly what the tax policy will be. I would say though, and I'm talking my book here, but you need to get with really, really wise professionals. And it very well could be, real estate could be a great place to invest, but it'll all be based on what at the time. And it could be, the code could be radically different a year from now.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions, comments?
Well,
We're getting a lot of gratitude for you, Mark.
Well,
those were all really...
I like Seamus, I can really get into this and be and nerd out on it. Hopefully, though, you found something that was valuable and you can take that with you and share that with clients or prospects.
All right, I think we're at the end of our call here, but Mark, this was great information and very timely for what our people needed to hear. So really appreciate you taking the time to do all the research that you did and the slides and coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. So we really appreciate that. For everyone else, we will see you in 2 weeks. We're always here for you when you need us, and call and let us know what we can do to help you. So we appreciate our KW family. So goodbye all.
Bye everyone.